By the time the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776, North America had already undergone 3 centuries of intense cultural and economic collision. Before European ships arrived, the continent was home to hundreds of distinct nations. These societies managed large-scale irrigation, complex masonry, and sophisticated political confederacies that spanned thousands of miles. European empires seeking new trade routes triggered the Columbian Exchange, a massive transfer of plants, animals, and pathogens. This map shows introduced diseases like smallpox. Lacking prior exposure, these infections caused an estimated 90% population loss, hollowing out entire political structures. Spain, France, England, and the Netherlands rushed to claim these depopulated territories, establishing fortified outposts to extract timber, fur, and mineral wealth. This combination of sudden mass death and foreign settlement pulls apart ancient alliances and redirected local economies toward European markets, setting the stage for centuries of violent geopolitical competition. Early English outposts like Jamestown and Plymouth began as isolated ventures. These small, struggling communities were designed for immediate survival rather than founding a unified nation. Growth was eventually secured through forced labor. This diagram of a British slave ship reveals the industrial scale of the transatlantic slave trade, which systematically moved millions of Africans into the colonial labor force. Enslaved labor became the foundation of the colonial economy. It directly fueled the production of tobacco, rice, and indigo, the high-value exports that allowed these colonies to accumulate immense wealth. This economic boom funded the rise of a colonial merchant class and established local political assemblies, where colonists grew accustomed to managing their own taxes and laws. By the mid-1700s, the colonies had developed a culture of self-rule and a massive local economy that made the prospect of direct control from London increasingly untenable. The conflict began in earnest after the French and Indian War. The British Empire secured a victory, but emerged with a debt that doubled its national obligations, leading Parliament to levy direct taxes on the American colonies. Colonists resisted these measures through organized boycotts and public protests. The British responded by immediately deploying thousands of troops to colonial cities, turning a tax dispute into a military occupation. The cycle of escalation moved rapidly from the shots fired at the Boston Massacre to the destruction of the Tea Party. Britain retaliated with the Intolerable Acts, closing Boston's port and stripping Massachusetts of its political rights. Political debate ended at Lexington and Concord. In the dawn mist of April 1775, colonial militias and British regulars engaged in open warfare, forcing a physical rupture with the empire. The Continental Congress provided the political justification for this war in the Declaration of Independence. The document argued that because the king had violated the natural rights of the people, the colonies were now the United States of America. In just over a decade, a disagreement over imperial finance had evolved into a radical ideological war for complete independence. General Washington's army survived years of attrition until the final victory at Yorktown. That success relied on the presence of French naval power and French ground troops, who provided half the manpower for the final siege. The 1783 Treaty of Paris redrew the map of North America. It officially recognized the United States and expanded its western border across the Appalachian Mountains to the Mississippi River. Victory left the newly formed Congress with a massive burden, governing 3 million people across a divided, bankrupt territory without an established central government. The first attempt at national government, the Articles of Confederation, failed to provide a functional central authority. The states were left unable to pay war debts or maintain a unified defense, pushing the nation toward collapse. Delegates met in Philadelphia to invent a new framework based on federalism, sharing power between the states and a new national government. They declared the people as the source of political authority. This constitution established 3 co-equal branches of government. Article 1, seen here, codified a legislative branch designed to check the power of the executive, ensuring no single individual could hold absolute control. To gain the support of the states, the founders added the Bill of Rights. These first 10 amendments explicitly prohibited the government from infringing on individual liberties, such as the freedom of speech and the press. When George Washington took the oath of office as the first president, the Constitution was a mere blueprint. His administration served as the first practical test of whether this system could survive the pressures of a growing nation. The United States emerged as a fragile experiment built on unresolved contradictions, the tension between federal power and local control, and the survival of institutionalized slavery and a nation founded on the ideal of liberty. These fractures would dictate the course of the next century.